All right, and welcome back to the channel using Restream again. I don't know how much longer I can actually use the Restream because I've been using the hell out of it, and I think someone said you only get like 20 hours a month or something, and I've got to be getting up near that. So right now I am tying some cells onto a schooner. You can't see it yet, but I will show you. And I actually rigged my schooner. I will show you this. Uh, like you see the big mainsail in the front. Uh, According to the design on the box, it shouldn't have that big mainsail. But according to Pirates of the Sid Meier's Pirates of the Caribbean, this style of ship absolutely did have that big sail. So I don't know if it's like what they call the sloop of war or whatever, but yeah, I decided after playing Pirates for a little while, I was going to put that big sail on the front too, you know. And then, of course, it'll have a British flag. But right now, I'm getting ready to put the first lantine sail. Then I will run from between here down to here another line to put the second one because they won't both be on the same line. After that, I'll be running from these here. I'll be running here. I'll be running, the connectors all up and down and, doing what I got to do this is, let me put it on chat. So if anybody's saying anything, I'll know. Uh, all right. Never miss it. What I am using is this big ass spool of black um, stretchy thread. Because, like I was saying last time, you kind of want the elastic thread so that when you put the rigging on, it'll stay tight. Otherwise, over time, your rigging will start drooping and it just won't look good, whatever. Now, I didn't know that until very recently. So, not that I'm a master of rigging ships, I am not. As a matter of fact, with my smaller ships, I just printed out the rigging on the 3D printer, like the cells with all the rigging and everything, and just stuck them onto the hull. I was like, yep, this is done. So I totally cheated on that. So what I need to do is put this on the line and then tie a knot in it. Can I do that with my fat, clumsy fingers? That's the question. If not, I may have to, at some point, get the wife involved. Actually, she's got nails, so she may not be any better. I'll have to wait till one of my nephews or nieces is visiting that's got more than a baseline hand-eye coordination, agility. I guess what we're learning here, guys, is that I do not have a very high agility. My agility stat sucks. That's what we're learning. But I ordered Simple Dice 6 because it was really cheap, like Fantasy, just to see what it's like. I mean, I've read the PDF and it seems pretty like simple. Your attributes are between 1 and whatever, and in order to do something, you need help getting the mustard open. My mom. In order to do something, you have to roll a die 6 and roll equal to or under your attribute. So it's supposed to be like, all you need to play the game is a die 6. And apparently, if you play a dwarf, you get a bonus to your con or something, or, however it works. How you doing, Rob? So will I run it? No. but it does look neat, and I like to read role-playing game rule books. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty excited because Free League is coming out with some more Twilight 2000 stuff, so that's going to be very interesting. They're coming out with like a campaign book where it's going to be, and they're also, for the One Ring, coming out with a book on elves, which could be like really awesome. I mean, if you want to delve into all the different elves in Tolkien's world and all of the different powers and abilities they might have during, the Third Age. I mean, we already have a wood elf in the group, and he's really good at, hunting and scouting and, being a wood elf, because as you would expect, he's a wood elf from Mirkwood. So all of the outdoorsy stuff he's super good at. So, yeah. So I've got the first one knotted, and you can see how this is going to be. This is going to be on this line. And then there'll be a second line that'll have another cell like this, an even bigger one. And then after that, there'll be a flag. And this will be a British ship. So it'll go along with all of my British crew members. Am I the only one watching? You are the only one watching. Now, if you want to help out with that, give me a thumbs up, because that's how it gets like sent around to other people. It's like the more thumbs up the video gets, the more the algorithm promotes it. So this is also weird time. I think Double D's going to be doing his show a little later, so I'll be watching that. Also, I'm not sure if the topics I'm talking about are necessarily great topics, Like if I wanted a whole huge crew showing up to watch this, I would be talking about Wizards of the Coast and D&D. That's how you get the viewership. You talk about whatever crazy shit Wizard of the Coast has done this week and D&D. And then people show up because that's what they want to watch. And it's kind of sad because it's the thing I'm least interested in. It's like, not true. See, there's someone else there. Hey, Violence, how you doing, bro? Violence solves everything. You know what? That is a fact. Like the guy in Starship Troopers says, if you think violence don't solve everything, ask the city fathers of Carthage. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of times the popularity of your video, one, maybe my personality is not, super conducive to people wanting to watch it. Two, there's a good chance the stuff I talk about is just not top-notch material for a lot of people. Like I said, I could be on here talking Wizards of the Coast stuff and probably would get up. Well, yeah, I know I would, because when I had videos back before I deleted them, unfortunately, of me complaining about Wizards of the Coast, those videos would hit 1,000+ views, right? Then I deleted all my videos, and I haven't made any new videos, just live streams since I deleted. And as a result, I've lost like 100 subscribers, and just people aren't super interested in watching me fight with these freaking selling ships the way they would be if I were tired. No. If they were, oh, there's
doesn't he look beautiful?
my pup just coming in from the groomers. We got a mobile groomer.
And I owe you.
He's 55 today. His plans were not cool. So, thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas. I'm glad you were home when I got here. I'm like, well, Mom's not home. It's just Dad.
I left Dad money. He would have been fine. Oh, okay. I left the cash.
Yeah, she left me money to pay.
And you got a haircut, huh?
I just shaved it all off.
You said forget it. You were done with it?
Yeah, now it's grown back because my hair grows so quick.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. At least it grows quick. If I would have done that to my hair, I cut my hair short one time and it took 3
Oh,
years.
so there we go. There's the first 4 sew on. So I'll have to trim up the string and put some glue on, and then I'll be running the second main line.
You're so beautiful, Bear.
He did really good.
Yeah.
You did really good today. We
My
used
little
to do
puppy's
shampoo.
back here,
Hopefully
but
it smells good. You like this now?
yeah, there is usually a lot more people on my live streams, but the last couple of times have been really, but I think also a big part of it is that I have started streaming at like weird times. Like the other day I started streaming at like 10 a.m., and it's like everybody's at work at 10 a.m. except for me, But usually I at least do double digits. I mean, nothing to brag about though, because usually the whole reason I live stream is because then I can work on my ships or whatever. And basically you guys are keeping me company. That's pretty much what's going on. I'm doing something that I don't find to be necessarily really emotionally or mentally stimulating. So answering your questions and talking to you kind of helps me with that. So I got a bunch of cowboys here that I'm getting ready to put a zenithal on. Why? I don't know. It's like I just keep buying cowboy. Well, no, this time I got a couple of hucksters. I got Coot Jenkins. I'm not sure. I think he's a snake oil salesman. And then I've got this guy. You would really want, if you've ever watched the movie In the Mouth of Madness, like do you read Sutter Kane? Well, this is Wires. Neil whatever. This is his character from that movie. Like at the very end when he asks that one guy, do you read Sutter Kane? And the guy's like, yeah. And then he's like, then you won't be surprised by this. And he hits him on the head with an axe. How you doing, Jose? How's things down in Costa Rica these days? Hopefully pretty good. So let's see. I've got my Cimmerillion Wizard. I ended up, just like I said the other day, because Talislanta characters are so easy to make, I ended up making like 25 of them. So whenever the players decide that it's time to play that game, there will be a ton of characters just waiting, But yeah, I'm getting ready to do a little highlight, a little zenithal. I normally don't bother, but these are they're metal figures, and I primered them black, so I'll do a zenithal on them, and then because they're Wild West guys, it's not like nice weather, great temperature. Yeah, it's cold and rainy here. I mean, cold for Florida, rainy. Well, it's Florida, even though it's called the Sunshine State, it rains a lot. Reading the Battle of Two Kid, yeah. Oh yeah, Two Kid's great BattleTech lore, right? Especially what's his name, Anastasius Fox, who they basically tricked the clan into thinking was a paper general. The clan didn't know who he actually was, and it turns out that he was like one of the grand marshals from House Steiner. And yeah, you almost feel bad for the Smoke Jaguars because most of their guys got killed on the dropship. You know what I mean? Because the Comstar aerospace fighters just suicided, kamikaze would be the word. They just kamikazed into the Smoke Jaguar dropship. So that whole clan just kind of ceased to exist. And also the fact that every time the clan stopped to try to formulate a battle plan, no matter where they were, they just get freaking nuked with artillery. And so they didn't understand the way that Comstar fights wars. Feel bad for those clanners? Never. Yeah, well, those poor guys, like I said, they didn't even get out of their landing zone. They rolled in on the drop ship. They thought they were going to do some shit and they got deleted, So, and Smoke Jaguars were probably the only clan that I actually liked. I kind of dug their whole elemental obsession. But yeah, I'm a House Merrick guy for life. You guys know that. House Merrick for life. All right. Put a zenithal highlight on this huckster, which is what he is. He's a huckster. He's got his deck of cards.
Hello.
Hey, Les. Yeah.
How's it going?
Pretty good. So, I mean, he's probably just going to have some kind of suit, like a blue or a gray suit anyway. I mean, that is one thing about painting Old West characters is they're not very colorful. It's the same thing with painting pirate characters from like the 1700s is other than like their coats or whatever, which might be, red or blue or whatever.
At least not as colorful as Dark Brown thought they would be.
Huh?
Not as colorful as Dark Brown thought they would be.
Yeah, they're just not more of a canopus. Well, I mean, that just means you like cat ladies, right, Jose? Because isn't that where all the cat ladies come from, Canopus?
I remember Back to the Future Part 3 where Brown dressed Marty up in that fit.
Right. But since the time period most of the cowboys I paint up I paint a lot of them in baby blue trousers and blue or gray shell coats. And that represents the fact that they are veterans from the Civil War and they're still wearing, bits and pieces of their old uniforms. So, yeah, thanks. The freedom and peaceful. Yeah. Well, a lot of people like the whole there's a couple of different rim powers that a lot of people like the Tarian Concordant and Blake's whatever. Yeah. Damn, violence. You're going way back in history with that too. Crescent Hawk's Revenge is from when I was like 15. So that's like shit, 30 plus years. So yeah. But I kind of, when I was a kid, I was more in favor of Steiner. But as I got older, I started migrating over to Merrick. And that's kind of where I ended up, Merrick. Whereas Hungar, he started out Draconis Combine and just stayed Draconis Combine. You know, there was no like second thoughts. He's like, yep, paint all my mechs red or gray and serve the Combine, you know? Whereas I got the easiest unit to paint in Battletech because, like, one of the Merrick militia units, they just paint their mechs black.
Oh, but that's just boring.
Right? It's like, so if I paint a whole bunch of mechs just straight up black, and somebody's like, well, that's crap, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's actually historically accurate.
That may be historically accurate.
Lore.
But where's the flair? Where's the
But
fun?
that's the lore of the game. They paint their mechs black.
You should do what the characters from Girls and Panzer did and paint it like gold or some other weird color.
Well, I mean, a lot of your Merrick militia units are like some combination of purple and white.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their dress colors. Obviously, you can paint your units no matter what house you are. Whatever the camouflage pattern would make most sense for where you're fighting.
Yeah.
Because they do paint their mechs camouflage.
Yeah, that's true. It makes sense to do that. And that's what, the main characters figure out. Maybe going gold, red, and all these bright colors may have not been the smartest thing to do.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that a lot of people, a lot of even the writers misinterpret how big a mech actually is. And the purple is Merrick, yes. There's one unit that's all purple, and then there's other units that are like purple and the white will be on the right side or the left side, and that's two different units. And then there's all purple, but with like a blue stripe down the left side. That's another unit. And then, of course, the black ones with the angel coming out of the heavens. That's a unit. And then...
you know how you were talking about Old West?
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I was watching Girls and Panzer, and it just turned into an Old West parody. In the middle
that is very weird.
Yes, it was.
Purple Bird can do nothing right. That's not true. They can fight civil wars just as good as anybody.
I gotta wonder how large these aircraft carriers that they live on are now, because they somehow have like an old western mountain range on there and a city.
It's an anime.
You think
it doesn't have to make sense?
Yes, but seriously,
it's like last night I went to bed watching Event Horizon again. And fell asleep about halfway through. Like right when the Lewis and Clark showed up and latched on to the Event Horizon, I fell asleep. And then when I woke up, like two other movies had been played. And I woke up in the middle of Dark City, which is one of my other favorite movies. So I was like, well, okay, Dark City, cool. And Merrick has the favorite version. Yeah. The Merrick version with the lasers instead of PPCs but part of that is, according to the storyline, House Merrick has a really difficult time making and repairing and whatever PPCs.
I also gotta think.
You know,
Wow, Oro's weird because it has like pirates, Native Americans, and cowboys on it.
mm,
It's just weird.
yeah,
Also, Kiss fans apparently.
right. You sound like somebody who would love to own a bunch of Funko Pops.
No, I don't like Funko Pops. They're ugly to me.
Good man. Good man.
I don't get that.
Me neither, but every time I go to my local favorite comic shop, it's like they keep reproducing. It's like I went there a couple of years ago and there was like one little shelf with some Funko Pops.
And now
And
they're
then
everywhere.
a year later, I went back, and then there was like more. And the last time I went, which granted would be like 5 or 6 years since the first time, there's like walls of nothing but Funko Pops. And the 40K stuff is crammed into shelf space like 5 feet long. And it's just like, I mean,
To be fair, with how Warhammer is right now, it makes sense that they don't get much space anymore.
well, I mean, I'm happy because I know the owner of the store. Like we played football together and stuff. And I want only the best for him, I've known this guy for like shit since I was like 16, 17, and he was like 18 or 19. But and if the Funko Pops are paying the rent, then more power to him. I just don't get it. I don't understand why anyone in their right mind would ever want to spend a bunch of money on Funko Pops.
I don't either.
Like,
They're ugly.
I think you would be better off going out and just buying crack and hookers. At least I wouldn't make fun of you as hard. You know what I mean? Like if you came in and you're like, yeah, I just spent $300 on Funko Pops, or I just spent $300 on crack and hookers, I'd definitely respect the crack and hookers.
Everybody must go with blowing hookers, right?
Right, blowing hookers outranks freaking Funko Pop all the time. Listening to the foundation, that's not hard to do, Deckard, because as much as I love Asimov and his stories, his writing on occasion can be very dry. And, and it's not like he's really writing these super exciting books with like, tons of space adventure and people running around doing crazy shit. Most of the time it's like reading a textbook about something that happened 20,000 years in the future.
Hey, James,
again, that's not me trying to make fun of Asimov. I love Asimov. It's just, yeah, sometimes you got to work pretty hard to get through his books. That's all I'm saying. Right? Boats and hoes. Got to get me some boats and hoes.
Hey, James, are you really knowledgeable about World War II era films?
I don't even want to talk about World War II.
Oh, fair.
I'm so like not into World War II that I actually gave the basic expert my old bolt action army for free. I was just like, I will give this to you for free because I'm sick and tired of looking at it. And you know what? Every time I go in the garage and start digging around, I find more stuff. Like I look over there right now, there's 2 Opel Blitzes, 3 Panzer 38Ts, so the Czechoslovakian one.
Yeah.
A Panzer III M, so the one with the skirts and all that. A Lancer, whatever, Italian armored car. 2 Caro Amato M41s and a Cimabom T75.
Yeah, man. It's just bugging me because one thing that they did on there again was...
Are we still talking about tanks and girls and panzers?
Yeah. They recreated another scene from another movie.
We're not allowed to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, okay.
The only World War II we're allowed to talk about is Kelly's Heroes from now on.
Mm-mm-mm.
Now, Hungar did show me something kind of World War II adjacent that was kind of crazy.
What's that?
Young Japanese girls singing Erica
Ah,
in fluent German.
I could see that.
Yeah, it's like okay. Now, granted, the song Erica is not a World War II song. It
No.
pre-existed World
Yeah.
War II, and the French Foreign Legion actually used the song. But it's so weird to see this like baby Japanese girl like banging her hand on the desk singing Erica. The Martian, the movie was pretty good, I thought, even though I don't think Matt Damon put his name on it. Whichever one it is where Matt Damon plays, I think it's Interstellar.
Matt Damon.
Like Matt Damon's in it, but they don't list him in
Matt
the credits
Damon.
for some reason. Whereas the Martian's one where he grows potatoes in his own poop, which was still pretty good. But my favorite recent Martian movie, if we're talking about Martian movies at all, is The Last Days on Mars, which is kind of like
So I'm guessing you
mining,
really.
and they uncover some kind of alien life form, and then it starts, killing everybody.
I'm guessing you didn't like Mars Attacks.
I don't think about that because that's like 30 years old. I was thinking about movies that are currently like
Ah,
relatively in the neighborhood of being new.
okay, fair enough.
But so now I need a little bit of white because one thing about Jacka, which are the cat type people in Tauslanta, is their hair, their mane, so the hair on their head and mane is white, even though the rest of their fur is black. Why? Because it's Tauslanta. It's freaking weird. And I've got this Jacka hunter with a bow. So I've got to paint all of his mane and head hair white.
F-84G.
But yeah, I would rather talk about games and stuff than World War II. But I've told you this before. I'm pretty much World War II'd out. You know what I mean?
I get it.
Between Battlefield 1942 and Forgotten Hope, which I played for years, and Flames of War and Bolt Action, etc., I'm just done. It's like I have played World War II games for longer than World War II went on. And I'm just over it. Now, I did pick up a bunch of Vietnamese, NVA, Marines, Army guys, and the various vehicles to go with them. But I don't know if I'll ever play a game. And if I play a game with these cowboys, I'll probably play the game I made homemade, which is where basically every cowboy is ranked from 1 to 5, and that's how many cards you can get rid of when you're playing a hand of poker. And every time your cowboy tries to do something, you play a hand of 5-card draw versus your opponent. And if you win, the cowboy does it. So if two cowboys are going to fight, you have to play a poker hand, and whoever wins hits the other guy. And then you just draw a card off the top of a deck, and that's how much damage they take. And say every cowboy is automatically taken out of the game if they take 10 or more damage. So 10 and any face card. Aces count as ones. So, And I think that'd be fun because you and your opponent would have your own decks and you'd have your cowboys run around the street and you'd just be playing poker and a miniature game. You wouldn't need any dice or anything, And just say you're allowed to have X amount of points to build your force. So you could build a small group of cowboys, but they're all like elite gunfighters. Or you could build a big force, but they're all like, level 0 or 1, So either you got to keep whatever you draw, or you can discard one card and redraw and hope for the best, and then see how that works. It could work out brilliantly. It could not be so fun. I mean, Hungar and I played some Vampire last night, and boy, oh boy,
Nice.
the card game, and he
Yeah.
got wrecked.
Just destroyed, huh?
Oh yeah, he was trying to play the Serpents or the Setites, and I was playing the Timmies. And I
Fine,
just
Carl.
the Simacy. And it was just like total wreckage. It was like, yeah, you're not going anywhere here. And he was like, damn it. He tried. It was just like the new Simacy, they get rid of all the lame disciplines and vicissitude, but they give them protean. So that means your Simacy or Zamichi, they can do wolf claws and all that crazy shit, do aggravated damage, so they become a threat in combat. You don't, now they can learn as an additional fourth discipline the vicissitude, but it's not like something they have to. So, and then here I've got this Kinku that I've painted all of his skin blue, and this is going to represent Hungar's blue Anid for Talislanta if we play.
Nice.
When we play. Yeah, I mean, I was really like kind of upset by the fact that there's not a lot of Talislanta figures, but then the more I looked around, the more I realized that certain figures could very easily stand in.
Yeah.
Like pretty much any kind of orc, if you paint them green, they could be tribesmen or whatever, the Farron are just rat people. So, find a were-rat miniature and call it a day. I've never played the Clone Wars game. I've
What
never
Clone Wars game?
never had. As a matter of fact, the last Star Wars game I played, and this will take a lot of you guys back, maybe, is Star Wars TIE Fighter. And that's the one that was out when I was, I guess, 16. And as you did missions, you could get like the Sith tattoos on your arm. Plus, you could get better and better TIE fighters. So by the end of the thing, if you've got the full Sith tattoo and Darth Vader's like your homeboy and you're cruising around in a TIE Defender, which is like, So World War II is to you what VTM is to me. Maybe if you're just sick and tired of VTM, then yeah, because I've just grown to where I'm like, World War II does not interest me. It's like, we've all been there and done that, It's like, it's kind of like why I don't get into a lot of talk about the Civil War.
It's been done before.
I know so much about the American Civil War. I've read so much about it that at a point it's just boring to talk about. It's just like, yes, we know about Longstreet. We know that if Lee had attacked at Gettysburg on the first day, he would have won. We know all these things. If frickin' what's his name hadn't been out goofing around at the train station instead of doing what he's supposed to be doing, which was scouting out enemy positions. There's my brother. Hey, brother.
Hey, Hungar.
Nieces, say hello.
Okay. Did you ask them if they're ever going to visit us?
I can bring Shelly over here this weekend if you want.
That's up to you.
Marisol works. Shelly's tall.
Yeah, she's.
If you don't count her 6 feet of hair,
yeah, she does got that big fro kicking.
she is about an inch and a half taller than I am.
Yeah,
and I was wearing shoes and she was barefoot.
Like she looks like you ain't her dad. Her dad might be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. She's got that big fro kicking and
Well,
shit.
you see my
Tall
afro,
as
sir.
hell. Well, I know you used to have that fro, but
Her fro's more magnetic. She's 15 years old almost.
they grow up fast. Yeah, Star Wars has never been the thing for me when it comes to sci-fi.
I'm going to lay down for a bit.
You go lay down and we'll play a game later.
You want some of my Diet Dr. Pepper?
Nope. I think Double D's on tonight, ain't he?
Wednesday, yes.
Okay. So I think what happened with me, Jose, is while I did like the original movies, by the time Return of the Jedi came out, I was pretty much over Star Wars. I was done.
Empire's the best.
So I agree. Empire is the best. So then when the sequels come out, I didn't give a shit. When the prequels come out, I didn't give a shit. And my sci-fi of choice was basically Battletech. Yeah, he's down. We've been playing some card games and board games and war games. We haven't got to frickin' I meant to actually record us playing some Saga, but we didn't record it. We just played a game and the Irish got wrecked by the Rurik dynasty of the Kievan Rus. And you can guess who I was playing versus who he was. But
Bro.
yeah.
Rip and Carly's dad just had puppies.
Yeah.
They're the craziest looking dogs you've ever seen.
Why?
They got German Shepherd bodies and Labrador heads. So they're all sleek and muscular like a German Shepherd with that goofy head.
So they look like you when you were a kid.
Yes.
Nah, I'm joking. Everybody's saying hi, by the way.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr.
Yeah, hey, Hungar.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Got into Battletech with Mech Warrior 2. I think, was Mech Warrior 2 the one that was Mercenaries, where
Yes.
you started out with like a commando and you could just...
I know there was a BattleTech game on the 360 I played once. Like,
Yeah,
once,
there was
literally. It was weird because you could like mech hop.
on one of the consoles, there was Mech Commander.
Yeah, I think that was what it was called, or
And you
something
could
like that.
you were actually like in control of like a company of mechs.
Oh no, never mind. This is different. It was like a weird like FPS, but you were in mechs, and you could actually jump out of mechs and jump into other mechs.
Oh, see, yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. I mean, I played the original Mech Warrior Online that was fan created. Yeah, I played the hell out of that.
This
It
was on the
based on,
360. My
Mech
cousin had it.
Warrior 4, I think.
This was on the 360. My cousin had it, and you could like hijack mechs, and it was kind of weird fun.
No. The one I'm talking about was like just Mech Warrior 4. It was a PC Master Race only game. And and there would be like there would be teams of players on both sides, like up to 12.
Oh,
And
rebellion.
so you'd be out there like doing your thing. And getting killed a lot, But in that version of the game, believe it or not, even though I had access to heavier mechs, I played a Griffin like all the time. That was the game for me, the Griffin. That was my mech. And because, as I always tell people, it is a really good, really well-balanced medium sniper mech.
Fair.
Well, I mean, it's got the large laser or the PPC, depending. And it's fast as hell. It can jump. It's got an
Yeah, I heard
LRM.
Titanfall was really fun, but I guess very underrated or underappreciated.
I played Titanfall right up until they did the denial of service on all the servers. and then no one could play. You just couldn't log in anymore.
I
And
missed
that
out on it.
sucked.
I didn't feel like it would be fun to me, but apparently it was really good, and I really missed out.
Titanfall was really good. You missed out. But yeah, somebody, hackers or somebody, freaking did a denial of service on all of the Titanfall servers. And it was just like, yep, this is done. And
Oh, they've
it
been
sucked
DDoSed
because the
to the
people
very
who
end.
actually owned and ran the game couldn't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like there was nothing that even they officially could do.
They couldn't
So you
officially
would
fix
log
the
on to
DDoS?
try and play the game,
Huh.
and every server would be DDoSed.
Dang.
And
Oh.
they did that for like, that shit went on until they come out with Titanfall 2.
Dang.
Because like the company involved with Titanfall just could not fix it.
Well, that
And,
sucks.
and I don't know who did that or why, but Titanfall was a lot of fun. You had like the 3 basic types of mechs. And then on top of that, you could equip them with different weapons and stuff. So you had the really light one that was fast. Then you had the basically the Sherman tank version.
The phone
And
saw.
then you had the heavy,
A cool shirt there, James.
Oh, the bone saw through the neck. Right
Yep.
through the neck. But yeah, Titanfall was a well-made game and could have been really cool. It was cool how you could actually kill an enemy mech while you weren't in a mech, depending on the weapons you had. The fact that you could jump on the back of a mech and rip its freaking batteries out and shit like that. And then the pilot would have to come out. And of course, everyone in the game was equipped with these suits and boots and shit that gave them like
Hover and
super
jump.
jump and wall crawling and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, so you were like basically parkouring all over the freaking place. And so
It kinda
yeah,
reminds
you have
me when I
dudes
used to
running around doing the infantry role with like assault rifles, and also then the Titans, running
And
around,
It makes me think of when I used to play Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll be right back.
you be right back. Missed out on Bautech in the 90s. Yeah, I got into Bautech about 85. And the reason I have the huge collection of old school medals I have is because if I was a good boy and did all my little chores and everything, then my papa would take me to the local game stores, the one I'm talking about that's taken over with Funko Pops currently, and he would buy me a Bautech figure. That was my allowance. And we were not rich at all. So being able to go down like once a week or once every other week or whatever we did, and I would buy a figure. And back in like 86, 87, like an Atlas, which was the biggest figure they made at the time, really cost like $7.99, right? And then like a Commando or a Wasp or something like that was like $4.50 or something. So they were cheap. And over the course of that year, which was the year or two before I joined the Army, I just ended up with a collection of like 100 of the old school Ral Partha lead mechs. And I still have them. Like I still have the old school Ral Partha Marauder that looks like an egg with the really tiny skinny AC5 that wants to bend all the damn time. And if I was smart, I would sell them on eBay because they go for like $50 a piece on eBay. And I'm not so sentimental that I give a shit. Your Mercs Kickstarter has not arrived yet. That sucks balls, man. There for a while until they made it impossible to do. We were playing a lot of Battletech Online with the, where you could challenge somebody to a battle and whatever. But then one day we went to try and do that, and the freaking whatever wouldn't work. Luckily, though, I ended.
It's almost dinner time. I'll have to go. I'll see you.
See you, bro. Luckily, I ended on a high note. So basically, I beat Hungar a lot. I only lost one game between battling with Hungar and Raven. I lost one game, and that was to Hungar. So against Raven, I was undefeated in Bautech online. Or, Bautech playing online versus a living opponent. But yeah, we were playing X amount of tonnage, no mods, no customizations. I finally got news back from the Ultimate Edition guys yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, we screwed up. We'll have it out ASAP. Super sorry, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, okay, because that's really, to quote Jules, that's all you had to say, because I was just like, I paid a lot of money for that. Well, in my opinion, a lot of money for that freaking slip cover with the 3 books in it. And I'd really like to get it, So yeah, the guys, Sechi and crew, I think it is, that make Talislanta, they sent me a message and they're like, "We're so sorry, and we'll get it taken care of immediately." So I'm happy about that. Now, Firelock Games, I don't know what in the hell they're doing, because it's like I ordered 3 of the Blackbeard versus Lieutenant Maynard 2-player box sets. 1 is a gift and 2 for me. And one of them, it shows is in the mail somewhere, but they didn't put a tracking number on it. But the double order is still processing. And I made that order November 20. So it's 20 days to process an order on a couple of box sets. It's what are these guys doing? Are they making these things it's oh, we got an order, let's hand make these things. I mean, they're all plastic kits. It's not like they're even resin or anything like that. Everything involved is plastic. So it's why is this taking you guys so long? And of course, I need to learn to be more patient, because, patience is good for you. I need to learn that. I need to adopt patience, but it's very difficult because I want to get my hands on the stuff and, start playing with it and everything like that. I've also backed the Conan role-playing game, but I didn't go hardcore into that. I just got the the starter stuff, the basic stuff. I didn't go all the way to the rule book and 150 miniatures and etc. And the main reason I didn't go for all the miniatures is because I've bought a couple boxes of the freaking box game from Monolith. So I already have all the miniatures that they would have been given me if I'd backed it at that level. I already have them. I already have all the picks, the pirates, the Basonians and Aquilonians, etc. I've even got the tentacle monster and all that. So, the only thing I was thinking I might like from that really was the map set, because the maps that Monolith makes for Conan, they're these really thick cardboard double-sided maps, and they're beautiful. they are beautiful. Like the ruined castle or the Stygian streets or the Pictish village, whatever it is, right? These are all like amazing, amazing maps of locations that you can use in basically any game, you know, that you want. So, you know, and if you want, you can put plastic doors on them. So they're more like Hero Quest or Warhammer Quest maps than just a map of an area, you know, because they're divided into areas with doors and different ways to get to different places. So you can throw whichever monsters you want, wherever you want. Back when, you know, I was doing all the videos on Conan 2-20, which I wish I had not deleted. I wish I had just put all the 2-20 stuff into its own playlist and kept that, because I did videos on every single thing that Modiphius had released for Conan, you know, including the art book. Like every single book I did a review on, which I guess I could when I decide to start making videos again instead of live streaming. I could just do that again, you know. Give me some content to do. I know I've already did some One Ring content. Hey, what's up, Nerdy Ogre? How you doing, bro? But yeah, I ended up getting the super simple D6 fantasy game where you basically assign numbers to attributes between like 1 and 4 or something like that. And then in order to do stuff, you roll a dice 6 and you hope to roll equal or under the number. But the closer you get to the number without rolling over it, the better the success is. So like if you roll to hit somebody, you roll your D6 versus whatever your combat rating is. And then whatever the number is on the die is how much damage you do. So, you know, and if you roll equal to your combat rating, that's a critical hit. So that adds, I guess, a little complication to it. I mean, I don't see myself playing it, but it was cheap. And I thought, yeah, I'll check this out. I mean, I was just talking the other day about how much I love games where you roll under attributes. That's like one of my favorite things. Now, the Monolith Conan game, which you can download the beta of from the Monolith Games webpage, it appears to be like similar in nature to the Modiphius game, but instead of rolling 2-20, you roll a die that's determined by whatever your character is, and you add an attribute to it. And then if you beat a target number, then the movie is not true to Conan at all. Valeria was a pirate. The ones that wore the red sashes from Zingara or some shit like that. And Balette was a Shemite pirate who most of the time was buck-ass naked except for the jewelry she wore. And Balette's ship, everyone on the crew was a black man. All of the crew of Balette's ship were black. So like from Zimbabwe or somewhere in the Black Kingdoms until, you know, Conan got on there, and then Balette got enamored of Conan because of course she would. But as a Shemite, Belet would be in modern day closer related to the ancient Hebrews or Arabs. The Shemite people are basically R.E. Howard's version of the Semitic people. So, but she had the super pale, milk white skin and the long, curly black hair. And she decked herself out in jewelry, but barely anything else. And the people from the Black Kingdoms that worked for her, they pretty much worshipped her like a goddess. Yeah, well, Deja Thoris, yeah, she didn't wear a top at all. In the books, yeah, she didn't believe in covering up the hoo-hoos at all. She just ran around armed, with jewelry and a sword and a pistol. Something they didn't do in the movie for whatever reason. But yeah, Deja Thoris. I've got the miniature of the actual Deja Thoris from the books that I 3D printed, and she's got the curved sword in one hand and like a pistol in the other. Monolith Conan made Belet beautiful. Yeah, the Belet miniature is really nice. Chomp Chomp the U2 shark, and not super easy to paint because of how fine the figure is, as far as it's small and there's so much detail on it that, yeah, you would really, to do it justice, you really got to break out your magnifying glass and your little brushes and really, take the time. But they did that a couple of times too. Like if you buy the Northman expansion for the Monolith game, it comes with the Frost Giant's daughter. And while she is not naked, the dress she's wearing is so sheer that you can actually see like right through it. Yeah, Disney. It's like they could have it didn't stop Disney from letting Ryan Reynolds make an R-rated movie because, Disney knew it'd be big money. That's why. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, that's going to be money in the bank. John Carter should have been Conan of Mars, but Disney made that. Yeah. Well, at least they kept some of the stuff correct, like the fact that John Carter was a Confederate cavalry officer, blah, 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 from Virginia. And they did the Tharks pretty well. I mean, they were pretty good. The Green Martians. But by the time you read all the books, there's so many different colored Martians. There's like the green ones and the white ones and the red ones. It's like, geesh, man. There's a lot of Martians. All right. I think this ship I'm painting right now, which I'm just doing it, whatever. I think I'm doing a really rough draft on it, basically. But I think I'll paint the material on the cells on this one red. The last one I did green. This one I think I'll do red. But yeah, I mean, Disney, you can't really expect much out of Disney. I will say that I enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. And that's saying something because I don't like Marvel movies at all. And typically don't really watch them. Like, if I'm hanging out and everybody's sitting in the living room watching Marvel movies, I'll hang out. But I don't really like superhero movies very much. got Ralph Bakshi on it. I can't be sure of this, Deckard, but I think he might be dead. Now, don't hold me to that, but I think Bakshi might have already. I mean, the dude was old back in the 70s, so if he's still alive, he might be some kind of witch or, various other type of undead. So, yeah. But, yeah, Bakshi doing a Princess of Mars in the Bakshi style that he did Lord of the Rings in would have absolutely been like mind-blowing. It would have been good. But just wasn't on the decks. We got Vic. Vic. Let's get you in here, Vic, and see what you've been up to. Victor. What's up, Vic? How you doing, homie?
Oh, another day, another dollar.
Well,
You know how that works.
Yeah.
Got a new special guest coming to DaveCon. Going to announce it on Friday.
Nice.
Yep. Convinced this individual to get out of their home and take a walk up to Minnesota. So
It could happen.
yeah.
I mean, I've already priced it out.
Well, I hope you're coming.
Make it like Fire and Ice. Yeah, that would be cool. If they did like Princess of Mars, but like Fire and Ice, the rotoscope and all that. But yeah. Well, the Taos Lanta people got in touch with me and apologized for being so late with the other half of my order. So I'm happy now again. And still waiting to receive my order from Firelock Games, which is really weird because I actually ordered the schooner after I ordered the box set, and the schooner came first. So it's like I said, I sent them a note and I was like, what is going on? You know, it's been 20 days and that order is still in the processing stage. Like, how hard is it for you guys to like grab a couple boxes, put my number or my address on it and put it in the mail because I've already paid for everything. So, let's make this shit happen over here. And then we were talking about Monolith Games Conan a little bit, which is really just a simpler version of Modiphius Conan when you really get down to it. Because instead of using 2x20, it uses various dice, kind of like Savage Worlds. But when you want to do a thing, you roll a die, and then you add the attribute that governs the skill. And if that total is greater than the target number to do the thing, then you do the thing. Otherwise, you don't do the thing. And that's basically it. That's basically the whole game. So, yeah, shark hanging about, and Double D will be on in a couple hours, I think. We'll see what he's got going on tonight. I watched the last one with the idiots complaining about D&D again, but that's what I was saying. One of the guys that was in here watching me, a guy I know in real life, was like, man, I can't believe you ain't got more people watching it. I was like, because I'm not talking about D&D or Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these games that are really kind of fringe of the hobby.
You know what though?
What?
We need that stuff in the industry. We need those other games. They influence even who is it I was talking to? Stephen Chenault said that Castles and Crusades, some of their stuff made it back into WOTC's latest editions. So I mean,
Oh yeah. They took some stuff from Castles and Crusades.
So I mean,
Because I remember when they talked about, and they're like, "Huh, should we say something?" Because it was like a skill thing that they took.
right?
But yeah, I've made like 20 characters for Talislanta because it's so easy to make characters for the game. It's like, because all you do is pick your archetype, modify it up by adjusting attributes and skills, and then play. Now, you can make a completely custom character if you want, but that's a little bit more like, drawn out. So if you wanted to play like, instead of playing the Cimmerillion wizards that they give you, if you wanted to play a Cimmerillion thief, you could do that, but it'd be easier to play a Cimmerillion rogue magician and just spend your bonus XP that you get before you begin playing the game to buy the thief skills and then be like, yeah, I'm a thief, And then, of course, every time you play the game, you gain X amount of XP, which you can use to raise attributes or skills. So, really easy system. Really easy. But,
Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
People are going to probably say something here about my loud typing, but sorry, folks, that's just the way it is.
Beating your poor keyboard up.
Oh yeah, I've worn off the A and the S on one side. It's like, well.
My keyboard, the WASD is completely rubbed off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is.
Well, I mean, for me, that's the keys that you use for movement in like most MMOs or first-person shooters.
Yeah.
So those are the keys that are pretty much gone. But I do not have a good feeling about D&D. Once I played it and the DM adventure sucked badly, I felt like roaming aimlessly, underpowered, and achieving nothing. Yeah, that's a DM thing. And also it depends on what version of D&D you were playing and a lot of stuff like that, Like me, I'm an AD&D guy, which means in modern day, I tend to be an OSE advanced guy.
Here's the problem with 5e that I see it.
Okay.
So you are restricted just by the way you put stuff in the book of describing stuff like, oh, well, you walk into a chamber and chained to the wall, you see 5 slaves. Some of them have been, one of my favorites has been used to drain blood out of, and you see a bucket below their, below them with the drippings of the blood that's been coming out and stuff like that. And, I try to describe these really gross and nasty things of the characters, and the smell of rotting corpses and stuff like this. I don't see that at a 5e table. They just don't. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make this vivid picture of what's going on, but I just don't see that. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because 5e is, first off, I mean, if you were to start describing stuff like that at a 5e table, you don't know if somebody at the table might have something you're describing as one of their triggers. And the next thing you know, they're like throwing a yellow or a red card on you.
Yeah.
And then you have to redo the whole thing because you have triggered the player and they no longer feel safe, which could really, really turn bad if you're at a tournament. Because then, if the player's a purple-haired lunatic, they could go to whoever's in charge of the tourney and be all like, "You're a horrible human being, and now you're in trouble, for basically nothing. But you offended them, and now you're going to pay the price because there's safety cards and blah blah blah."
Oh God! Did you see the video about the lady? She's holding up her arms in an X because she's like offended by something or something. I think it was a Babylon B one. Did you see that video? I was laughing so hard at that video.
And when the Babylon B is clowning on you, you should know that you've done something really stupid. Because usually they just clown on politics and stuff. But if they're clowning on you over a role-playing game or something, it's like, yeah, you've went too far. You've just, what is wrong with you? What is your problem? Etc. When I played MechWarrior Destiny, I was the GM for my wife, and she loved the adventure as a player. There you go. But yeah, if you really hated your first try at D&D, find a different storyteller, referee, whatever.
Yeah, that's why you should go to a convention too. If you have a local convention, you don't like your DM that you're with, there's other DMs at the convention.
Yeah, you can go to other tables.
Yeah. So I mean, just go find another DM. It's not like it's a big deal.
Not only that, but you can go find other games.
That's right.
Right.
Regular
games. Well, I didn't really care for that, but there's this other game being run at this other table.
Right, and experiment, find out. A lot of these guys are local. Guys and gals are local, and you might find another DM that you prefer to play with, and they might be playing at the same time you're playing right now. So you can just go to your dungeon master that you're with and just say, "Hey, this is going to be my last couple sessions with you, and I'm going to be out for a while. I'm going to go try something else." And if a dungeon master gets offended by that you have the wrong dungeon master. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't take offense if a player says, "Hey, I I want to go play with somebody else." Okay, well, you know what? That's your
prerogative.
Yeah, I got no problem with that whatsoever.
As that boy band said back in the day, Bobby Brown, I think. That's my prerogative.
Is that guy still alive? Is Bobby Brown?
I don't know if he is. I know Whitney Houston died. Finally.
I know Whitney went for the long.
Poor Whitney.
Yeah, she got hooked up with Bobby. Bobby messed her up good, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Next thing you know, she's smoking crack and just like yelling at Bobby Brown on their live TV show, their reality show.
Oh God, that was a train wreck.
Well, I mean, yeah, you've got Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, both cracked out. It's like, why would you even do this? This is so terrible,
Mm-hmm.
But somebody saw some money in it, and that's how it goes. But boom. But yep. Working on my sloop of war. Painting up airships for Talislanta. Take it easy, Mobius. What time? Well, it's not time for Double D yet, so. Mobius must be going to get dinner so he can be good and prepared.
There you
for
go.
when Double D comes on. But yeah, I got some Cowboys I need to paint. Some, Pirates I need to paint. Actually, I don't have Pirates I need to paint. I have British sailors I need to paint. Because I found on eBay the box set for the British starter set for this game. Is that a Seth Skorkowski shirt? Yes, it is. I own many Seth Skorkowski shirts. I have the one with Jack the NPC on it, and I have the one with the 3 players that he's always playing with, Dweebles and whatever. This is the bone saw, straight through the neck. Why? Because I absolutely love Seth Skorkowski videos. I don't know the guy like in real life. He could be the biggest douche nozzle ever. Like, I might absolutely hate him if I met him. I don't know, but his videos are top notch. And I always tell people, if you ever want to learn how to play like Traveler, 2Die20 Conan, like games like that, go see Seth Skorkowski's videos. Because they're really, really good. And he goes into like a lot of detail to make sure a brand new player, like his Traveler videos are amazing. And you're looking at the New West book. Yeah, these Cowboys I picked up mainly for Deadlands. The orange books, not the new stuff. Because I'm not a huge fan of Savage Worlds Deadlands. I like the old goofy Deadlands better. And yes, I know it's old and goofy, but yeah, Seth Skorkowski is a great teacher when it comes to role-playing games in general. But especially his Traveler videos. If you ever wanted to know how to play the Traveler role-playing game, go watch the 12-part series that Seth Skorkowski did. And by the time you are done, you will be a professional pro Traveler player, guaranteed. You will know everything about it. You will know how starships run and how to make your character and all of it. You will be made in the shade with a big old glass of lemonade, as they say. And yeah, he's also really good about explaining Conan. He's really good at when he explains Cyberpunk. I used to have the Cyberpunk shirt, but I got rid of it because it said the F word on it. But I think
You self-edited yourself.
Yeah, kind of. Because I couldn't really wear it out anywhere or anything.
These days it wouldn't matter.
So I gave it to Hungar, and it's like the Scott Brown real estate shirt. It's like, Scott Brown real estate, I've got a showing. Get the F out. You know what I mean? Which is a story that Seth Skorkowski tells about his Cyberpunk game. You know, Scott Brown, I guess, is a local Texas realtor, but they added the company into the Cyberpunk game, and they were in the middle of the combat zone, and a Scott Brown real estate agent showed up with a big freaking gun and started telling everybody to get the F out of the warehouse they were in because he had a showing.
Huh.
And he would, start laying into people. And it went on to become one of those stories that, 15, 20 years later, people still talk about Scott Brown real estate. And then the story was so funny that Tom Smith in Cyberpunk Red put Scott Brown real estate in the game. because he, I guess, listened to Seth Gorkowski tell the story. So there is a Scott Brown real estate that's now canon for Cyberpunk, which pretty cool. Played some Saga, and it turns out the House of Rourke, Kiev and Rus crushed the Irish. Haven't played the Persians versus the Macedonians yet. But Ungar's going to be down another 5 days, so I'm sure we'll get it done. And maybe even record it. That one I wouldn't mind recording. I've got, you know, the desert terrain and everything, so I might want to paint my Alexander a little better just to, you know, make him look better, but yeah. Well, MechWarrior Destiny is an amazing game. I have reviewed it, then deleted the video because I'm a dork. So I need to re-review it. And Raven, who used to show up at my channel quite a bit and still does occasionally, he and I had a long conversation about how you could run MechWarrior Destiny completely theater of the mind. You never need to actually put a mech miniature on a table. And the game is kind of made for that. So it's really good in that way. You know, if that's something you're interested in, you can just play a game of MechWarrior Destiny without any miniatures. So I'm a fan. I am a huge fan. I will say that. Destiny is my favorite version. I did buy Time of War, the first printing, and that game has some really good looking stuff to it, but the character generation is so effed up that it's like you can't make a character for that game. It actually become a joke how you can't make a character for that game. Like a guy did an hour-long video and he had like 3 different white boards and like markers and folders, and you know, and he's like, today we're going to make a, you know, Time of War character, and I don't think he ever did. And he spent an hour, you know, with his whiteboards and stuff. And yeah, so it's like, nah, that game is just like not a serious game, you know, because how I judge games a lot of times is how hard is it to make a character. If it's really, really hard to make a character, I am not really super interested in the game. That's just me. That's just me. That's my philosophy. Nice. The only thing I wish they would do with MechWarrior Destiny is get rid of the XP counts as money and every other thing, and just have money and XP be a separate thing, like it was in MechWarrior 2nd Edition. Because the XP equaling money and buying new mechs using XP and all that, that's just like, I don't care for it. I'm not a fan. I'm against it. But, you know, whatever. The people who make the game are very approachable, by the way. Which is good. You know? The guys who make MechWarrior Destiny, they have a YouTube channel and all that. They're very approachable. If you got any issues, you can, you know, air them out. Believe me, I have.
Good customer service is always a plus.
Yep. And they run a lot of games to show you exactly how, you know, the game is played and everything like that. So, yeah. But good customers, yeah, that's what keeps people coming back. Hey, Doc. That's what'll keep people coming back. I mean, a good game, a guy might buy your game and be like, this is a pretty good game. But if he's got like you can convert XP by multiplying it by 10,000. Yeah. That's not horrible. But if a game company has good customer service, then I'm more willing to go out of my way to try to support them than if they're a bunch of jerks. And unfortunately, these days, it's like a lot of game companies, not just role-playing companies, but video game companies too, are just full of jerks. And it's like, why? Why are you being jerks? Like, why are you acting like you absolutely hate all of your customers? It's such a weird thing for them to do, but they do it. They do it. Like the art director for the new D&D was specifically told not to put white people in the books. And it's like, that's a weird kind of, I guess, reverse racism there. It's like, why wouldn't you put white people in the book? I mean, I'm not saying you can't put whatever you want in, other ethnicities, other peoples, whatever, but to specify one particular group and say that group can't be in the game. Do I have a favorite game? You mean of all time, Mad Dog?
Oh God, how could you do that? Maybe by genre. You know what I mean? Different genres, James. You can have a favorite game. I mean, space, fantasy, modern day. I mean, if I was going to do it that way, I guess I'm Doc's in the back, by the way. You just popped up. Yeah. And I guess I would say mine's AD&D for fantasy. Modern Times is Top Secret. And the last one would be Star Frontiers or Traveler. I mean, I played more Star Frontiers than I have Traveler. So,
Top Secret was a great game.
Yep. Murr Rasmussen is a great editor. I don't like the Top Secret New Order as much as I like the original.
Yeah, the second edition, I think, is where it peaked out. And then I only briefly saw the thing that came after that, but it was really bad. It became very similar to the James Bond game in the second edition.
I kind of like Top Secret SI, honestly.
Well, SI was fine. I'm talking about the Top Secret New World Order, the box.
Yeah, I don't have that box. I have the box that's just got like a bunch of like passports and money and
that one's by Jason Elliott and that TSR.
Yeah, it's just the original Top Secret.
Yeah, I have the original Square Box Top Secret, both SI and the regular one. So,
like when you made a character, you had to pick whether you were CIA or Mossad or KGB or whatever.
Yep.
For fantasy, for me,
stupidest hand-to-hand combat system ever in a game.
Yeah.
What?
The hand-to-hand combat system in the old Top Secret was just
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, TSR had a problem with hand-to-hand combat anyway. It's like I'm always talking about. I love AD&D, but I don't bother with AD&D's hand-to-hand combat bullshit. Because that's just like, what are you even talking about? You know what I mean? It's like, what are you even thinking?
And there was no
the most insane shit I've ever seen in my life.
Roll to hit, do damage, do like a D4 in your strength. That's all they had to do. But no, they had to.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is, and there's a couple of games out here that actually do it right. If you try to do hand-to-hand combat against a guy in armor with a sword, basically you're screwed. It's not going to work. You're going to run up and try and punch a guy in plate mail? No, he's going to stab you through your neck, and you're
Well,
going to
you're
be
going
dead.
to have to grapple at that point.
So the whole monk class, if you really get down to it, is
Oh, the monk class was ridiculous, though. You could like at like 10th level, you could fall like 1,000 feet or something ridiculous like that.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I think Gary Gygax said he added it because one of the players was super hardcore into like Saturday Kung Fu theater. And it was like, okay, which is why if you look in the player's handbook, you've got all the classes. And then after all the classes, you've got the monk.
No.
And then in the very back, you've got the bard because
Yeah, I played
breaks
an old
every
school
other
bard.
rule.
I played an old school bard. I got that bastard up to 23rd level. That was my very first character.
Right. Because the bard class breaks every rule of the game. Like you have to be a human, but you get to have 3 classes, which the book says you can't do, but obviously you can. If you're a
You
bard.
get to do the thief
It's
stuff
like,
with
it's
heavy
so
armor.
wild, man.
Yeah,
So wild.
that character was just that character class was straight up broken, but it was awesome to
Well,
play.
you know, you become like a level 8 thief,
Yeah, you go
and
up to.
then you become like a level 8 fighter.
I think you had to be fighter first. You like hit up to
Yeah,
8th in
and
fighter,
then you
thief.
become a
then you
druid, and when you become a druid, you become a first level bard.
Yeah. And once you get to the high levels, you're basically as powerful as a druid as any of the druids.
Right.
So it's plus you have all this extra stuff.
Plus, every time you level up,
And
your
you're
hand-to-hand
fighting as a
damage
fighter,
goes
so, yeah.
up.
That class was broken as shit, but it was fun as hell.
And you
to
get
play.
weird abilities, like at 5th level, you can talk to plants.
Yeah, it's just a goopy shit.
It's like, wait, what?
Because why not?
Like, this monk is over here hanging out in the king's rose garden having a conversation with the parsnips or something. I zoned out. We were talking about AD&D. My favorite fantasy game currently of all time is probably AD&D First Edition or OSC Advanced, but it's closely tied with Talislanta. I have been a Talislanta fan since the late 80s. And I have, first, second, third edition in book form, and all these other little books. So of course I was going to back the Epic Edition bullshit too. I mean that was a given, but unfortunately, most of the people I know are not super fans of Talislanta. So not the easiest game to get people to want to try. But that's okay. That's okay. Hungar's down with it. He's playing a blue Birdman that, specializes with a crescent blade. I'm going to eat some food. Well, that's
scimitar?
better than eating some food, Robert.
You mean a scimitar? Is that what you're talking about for Hungar?
No, it's a specific Tauslandian weapon called a crescent knife.
Oh, okay.
So it has a handle in the middle, and then it has 2 curved crescent blades on either side of it.
Sort of like a short bat'leth?
I guess, yeah, like a bat'leth if it was only like one-handed and yay big. And
That's a mech.
He's also got a dart thrower, which is basically like a baby crossbow. Instead of shooting big bolts, it shoots darts. But his deal is his character gets to start the game with bracers of levitation. So anytime he tries to glide, because he can't fly, but he can glide for an indefinite distance because of the bracers of levitation. But the problem is, if he wants to glide up high above ground, he has to climb up something and then jump and glide. If he's on the ground, he can like jump and glide, but he'd be scooting like 4 feet above the ground, just, which somebody would kill him. But Yeah, Talislanta, Arcane. Yeah. The early books were all done by this woman named P.B. Breeding, Patricia something Breeding. The newer stuff is, I think P.B. Breeding may have passed away. I'm not sure. But like the first 4 editions was all 100% her art. And she did an amazing job. And she is right up there with Errol Otis and the rest of the guys.
Yeah, she
when it
wrote
comes
the
to fantasy
Silver
art.
Princess module, I think.
Huh?
I think she wrote the original Silver Princess, Palace of the Silver Princess module too.
She may have. I mean,
Breeding
she was,
died a year ago. Says here, Breeding died November 16th, 23,
so
in Crystal Lake, Illinois.
if people really want a character that's a badass martial artist, yeah, we were just talking about the monk, Prime, and how it probably should not exist in a medieval setting.
Well, in my campaign, I only have had one guy play it, and every time that monk comes in, might get the 6th level and dies.
Right?
It just seems like they just can't get past a certain point that something happens to them. So it's just like, oops, they dead. You know.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played in a game where somebody played a monk.
I had a guy try to bring in a bard, and I absolutely forbade bards. I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm not playing bard. They're a pain in my butt. You know.
And that's why I said I like OSC Advanced. Because if someone wants to play a bard, they can play a bard, but it's just a character class that can cast druid magic. Not as good as a druid, though.
If I was allowed to do a 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons, 1st edition, I would go back and modify some of those spells. Like Entangle would be a lot. It'd be modified so it's more appropriate for the level. It's just way too powerful as it is as a 1st level spell. So just some of those spells just need to be.
You want to talk about powerful spells? Look at the illusionist spell list.
Oh, I know.
Like Prismatic Sphere or whatever. That thing is a beast for 1st level spell. I mean, or Prismatic Spray, whichever one's the 1st level spell. That's
I think
just
it's spray.
Didn't see a lot of illusionists either. I played one guy had like a gnome fighter illusionist.
Like a mage can get it, but it's like a 3rd level spell for a mage, but a 1st level spell for an illusionist.
Yeah, plus they get all the 1st level magic user spells on their the 7th level list, the one where they top out.
The Kung Fu Monk should not even exist, Prime. Like, the first time that Kung Fu Monk ran up barehanded and hit some guy in plate mail would be last time. You know what I'm saying? There is a reason in medieval Europe you didn't have a bunch of guys running around in silk gis punching each other. Because that shit didn't work. I mean, a guy with a longsword would have a 3-foot reach on you. And, so it's like, and plus your punch ain't going to hurt as much as him stabbing you through the gizzard. That's going to hurt a lot more. You're not going to like that. So
let's just say you're getting hit with a metal hand. You know what I mean? It's like
oh yeah,
brass knuckles. I mean, you're going to hit him with your soft palm of your hand. Oh, all right.
Yeah, you're hitting him with your bare hand. He hits you with a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Crushes your face in. I mean, it's like, no matter how you look at it, it's just not a good time for anybody. The only game where I actually really like monks is L5R, because the monk is a mystical guy and, part of the Dragon Clan. And he can get magical Shaolin type tattoos on him. And depending on the tattoo, it gives him different abilities. So if your tattooed man monk gets like the dragon tattoo, then he can breathe fire a couple times a day or something. You know, if he gets the mountain, then he's extra tough. You know, there's all these tattoos they can get. And that makes sense because you're playing in basically a kung fu theater setting, except with, you know, ninjas and samurai and shugenja and all of that. Because, I mean, L5R basically takes every culture from East Asia and makes it one culture. You know, it's like you've got samurai and shugenja from Japan, but then you've got the Kaiyu Wall, which is like China. You've got tattooed men, which are like China. You've got Naga and stuff like that, which is like India. You've got the Mantis clan that lives on the island of Silk and Spice, and they're like kind of like your Philippines or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Comstar people are phone company monks, yeah, right. Well, it's because like in 40K, they have forgotten how some of the technology works, or they've mystified it. So now it's like, okay, in order to be a member of Comstar, you have to go up the ranks within the order and blah, blah, blah. And that's the same thing with when I make the argument about 40K, because a lot of people say Warhammer 40K is science fantasy. And it's like, but it's not. It's not science fantasy. All of the scientific stuff in Warhammer 40K is hard science, but the people in the setting don't know it. So, I mean, if you want to drive your Leman Russ tank across the battlefield, you still have to fill it full of promethium, except while you're filling it full of promethium, which is gasoline, you're saying holy prayers to the machine spirit and rubbing it down with sacred oils and, you know, doing all this crazy shit because you, the tank driver, don't think the tank will work unless you say the proper prayers and rituals. Whereas in reality, it would work 100%. And we know that from the Horus Heresy books, where they had all those tanks and none of the religion, because the emperor had, you know, forbid religion from ever being a thing. And yet all those tanks still worked. The starships still worked. Everything still worked. And then after the emperor was killed and the Horus Heresy was put to an end, just the Dark Age took over. And all technology was viewed as some kind of magic. So, you know, and the same thing happened in Battletech with the Comstar and the faster than light communication systems.
Do you know of a channel or anything? I actually want to look into a Theater of the Mind playing of Battletech. I want to see how that works because it's something I've been very interested in.
I don't know if Raven has ever put it up, but he is the one who did it with his wife. And apparently they had a really good time and it worked great. And me just having the book and reading it, I could see how it would work. No problem. Yeah, DCC magic, if you roll enough ones, you can end up with some kind of weird mutant. When I ran DCC, one of the mages in the party, he screwed up and ended up one of his legs was like 6 inches longer than the other. So he had to go get platform shoes for one of his feet. You know what I mean? So that he wouldn't constantly be like limping or whatever. But yeah, Warhammer 40K. I guess you can get into arguments about what the warp is, but honestly, the idea of dropping into another dimension to travel faster than speed, that is a very common trope in like Traveler, you know, not Star Frontiers, but Star Wars, pretty much all of your sci-fi. The difference is the dimension you drop into in 40K is inhabited. That's the main difference. But even in Traveler, they shut all the windows of a starship before they jump. And in one of the books, they say that if you were to look out the window into jump space, it would make you insane. Yeah, the Emperor at one time, even though he is a deific being, he denied his own godhood. And he enforced what he called the, not the golden path, but it was basically, he enforced atheism and rationality and science. Even though he himself knew for a fact that he was the God Emperor of mankind. He denied it, and he said no religion of any sort. He only allowed one human being to keep his religion, and that was another immortal who had been Roman Catholic. And he served the emperor in all these wars. So in the end, the emperor was like, you can keep being Roman Catholic. But when the emperor passed, all the religiosity came back. But the grasp of technology vanished. And you can blame a lot of that on the Mars cults of the Omnissiah. Because
Well, he was a mutant of some kind, wasn't he?
Huh?
Wasn't he supposed to be some kind of mutant?
The Emperor could be a mutant or not. I mean, in one book, he point blank says he was Alexander the Great. He also says he was born and lived as various religious figures. He had been executed before. He was a basically an eternal. He couldn't, like, if you killed him, he always came back. That's why the forces of chaos do everything they can to make sure the emperor never dies. That's why they try to keep him on the golden throne. Mostly Tzeentch does everything Tzeentch can to keep the emperor in this half-dead state on the golden throne, because if the emperor ever died, he would coalesce in the warp, immediately crush the chaos gods, and then he would be reborn. And then what? You know what I mean? That would be the end of the whole 40K universe, because the emperor would show back up, smack the shit out of everybody, and be like, okay, now this is what's happening. This is the deal.
What's the Amazon 40K news? What was that about today? Did somebody see that?
Oh, Henry Cavill decided to come back because they were going to give him senior producer control.
Yeah, Henry Cavill's been playing hardball with them because of them, you know, being Amazon, etc., talking about altering the lore. And Cavill is not having it.
Because he was a player going back a long time, wasn't he?
He is a player.
Yeah.
He plays Custodes. Like, you can go on YouTube and look up videos of Henry Cavill painting his Custodes army, playing the game, etc., right? And the whole reason he got fired from The Witcher is because he kept complaining to the director that they were fucking The Witcher up. You know?
Oh, yeah.
He kept going to her and being like, Geralt would never do this. And what is this chick over here doing? She's not even in the story. And why are the elves black all of a sudden? You know, there was, and so the director of the show absolutely hated him. Like, hated his guts. Tried to get him basically blacklisted from Hollywood. Said that he had a problem with females and blah, blah, blah. You know, all the usual bullshit. And, of course, it didn't work, but she tried her best. She absolutely did. She tried her best to run him. And like I said, his big thing was that he was pissed off that they were effing up The Witcher which apparently he's read all the books, played all the games, etc. Because it turns out that Henry Cavill is a hardcore nerd for like sci-fi fantasy stuff. And he does not like when people mess with let's see. As I went deep into lore for chapters, I managed to include famous characters like Hasid Rikal and Clanner Joanna. Luna Sanchez, been wanting to check out Destiny. Yeah, it's good. Black Templars justify their religious crusades because the leader of the Black Templars, Rogel Dorn's favorite son, Sigismund, during the Horus Heresy, he started believing the Emperor was in fact God. And at one point, Rogel Dorn was like, "What's up?" And Sigismund was like, "I believe the Emperor is God." And Rogel Dorn wanted to beat his ass and actually thought about killing him. But then when Guilliman come up with the idea of splitting the legions into chapters, Rogel Dorn just took all of the people in the Emperor's Imperial Fist that believed the Emperor was God and put them all in one chapter, the Black Templars, and then said they had to go on crusade forever.
Keep yourselves busy.
Right. Like they're never allowed to have a home planet. They're fleet based. They can never stop. As long as one alien or witch or infidel exists anywhere in the galaxy, they can never stop. So, but a lot of Space Marines, even in the 40K time period of the game, do not believe the Emperor is God. They don't believe it. Because they know. I mean, he's their father.
Well, there's several generations along now, so a lot of them were probably raised.
Yes, some believe it, some
assumption.
don't. It's just that's the way it is, And yeah, that's pretty much all that can be said about it. Like a lot of chapters don't believe it, let's say, but if a member of the chapter does believe it, they don't like hold it against him. Like the Blood Angels are like that. Like the Blood Angels revere their Primarch Sanguinius as a saint and the Emperor as a godlike being, but all of them don't. But a lot of them do, and there's no nobody says anything about the whatever. I mean, the chaplains in the Blood Angels chapter, they 100% are true believers. That's how you become a chaplain. Yep, that's why the Black Templars just cruise around on the battle barges. That's also why, even though chapters are never supposed to have more than 1,000 Space Marines, at any given time, the Black Templars have 3,000 or 4,000, which means they're even breaking the rules of that too, because they're constantly on crusade. So anytime they liberate a human world from demons or whatever, they immediately recruit as many people into their chapter as possible. So they end up, sometimes there might be 1,000, sometimes 5, you never know. And they're ruled over by the chapter master. Their chapter is set up like the Teutonic Knights of old Earth. And they, instead of chaplains, they have reclusiarchs. But they're like 100% devoted. They are Templars. That's why their symbol is even the Germanic cross. Yeah, they're 100% like the Emperor is God, and we will die for the Emperor, and that's just all they want to do. Now, most humans, not Space Marines, are 100% convinced the Emperor is God. But that's because they've been led to believe that by the ecclesiarchy, which is a part of the oligarchs that rule Terra that gained a shit ton of power and decided just to preach that. But the ecclesiarchy don't really mess with your space marines too much. You know what I mean? Because space marines can basically just do whatever they want. Oh, kitty cat.
This is Butters.
Like the Imperium doesn't really tell space marines what to do. They can go where they want, fight where they want, do what they want. Just every now and then, every chapter has to donate their best and brightest to become members of like the Death Watch or some shit like that. So, you know, my wife's Canopian captain was investigating missing investigators on a forsaken colony and ended up discovering a slave trade operation connected to a conspiracy to depose inner sphere royal families. That sounds really interesting. And that is a great way to run the game without making it just about stompy robots all the time. Because if there's one complaint some people have told me about MechWarrior 2, 2nd edition, it's how do you run the game and it just not be stompy robots every session? It's like, well, you got to do shit to make the pilots actually get out of the mech, right? Go investigate things and do things. But let's be honest, most players just want to play their stompy.
Yeah. I can't imagine playing in that universe and not being a mech pilot. I mean,
Right.
What would be the point? there are giant stompy murder robots. You obviously need a giant
Right.
stompy
I
murder
mean,
robot.
you've trained basically your whole life, and you're practically a aristocracy, and you have a stompy robot. I mean, obviously, you're going to want to use it because mech warriors are pretty much the knights of their era. And like in later versions of MechWarrior, they change it. But in the original versions, like Succession Wars, a battle mech might be handed down from one father to a son for like generations.
Yeah, some of those damn things are hundreds of years
Right. So like you might have your Griffin mech, and that damn thing might be 300 years old and held together with baling wire and duct tape and good intentions because, you know, maybe the technicians on your home planet have forgotten how to, you know, do a lot of stuff. The 3050 book really changed that. That's when they started saying, oh, guess what? Everybody knows how to make everything now. It's all awesome. Great. But yeah, originally in Battletech, mechs, the vast majority of people did not understand exactly how they work.
I got to let this little shit out. Hang on.
Yeah, a coup before the clan invasion would not be a good thing. Of course, it could all be those dirty clanners trying to infiltrate and weaken inner sphere powers before, you know, the hammer hits. But yeah. I hear them in there plotting dinner. I just heard somebody say something about an antipasta salad. I'm a fan. But no, that sounds great, Jose. No wonder your wife is enjoying that game. That sounds like a very enjoyable game, you know? I mean, if your wife likes investigation games, you might also look at like Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, because that's all that game is investigating cults and weird monsters and murders and stuff like that. And depending on how you run it, it don't have to be like, you know, all the players.
That could be in all games, though, James. You know that as well as I do. You can make those plot hooks in all games. You know, like, oh, there's slaves doing this, or somehow there's a temple being raised in the swamp, and what, you know, everything underneath a thrall of something. You know, they're all, you know, mindless creatures doing this. And anytime anybody attacks, they all like, there's 1,000 slaves coming at you with their claws ready to, you know, claw you out, or the undead doing it. I had the undead once mining a mine for a necromancer because he was going to move in and, you know.
Well, I mean, in Isle of Dread, the good guy natives actually animated their dead and put them to work repairing the wall that protected them from the dinosaurs, and also gardening. What is my favorite mech? Quickly, my favorite mech is the Griffin. And that can be the standard 3N or the 3L. Doesn't matter. I am a Griffin fanboy. Now, if I'm trying to play super competitively, it depends. For light mechs, it's going to be a Jenner. Medium mechs, I'm still probably going to take a Griffin just because. Heavy mechs, I'm taking a Thunderbolt or an Orion. And remember, I'm talking all 30-25. And then assault mechs, I am very partial to the Stalker, the Walking Egg. I mean, if you're not careful, yes, that thing will overheat like nobody's business. But if you watch yourself, that thing is just beast mode. And of course, the Awesome deserves the name. I mean, 3 PPCs. So you just fire 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, and you never even got to look at your heat gauge. The romance with the son of voice of the coordinator, right? At least it wasn't the voice of Sauron, who was related to Aragorn, by the way, guys. Yeah, that weird dude that rode out with the effed up teeth and the weird helmet and shit. That was one of Aragorn's relatives. I mean, I don't know how distantly, but he's definitely a cousin or something. But anyway, that's totally off topic. I'm pulling a Leth. Like I'm in here talking about some game, and Leth will come in and just start talking about anime. Just out of the blue. How do you feel about, like today he's like, how do you feel about World War II? And I was like, I feel like I don't want to talk about it. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, you know, I got rid of my Flames of War army. I got rid of my Bolt Action army. I am just sick and tired of World War II. I'm over.
Got rid of your Memoir 44.
Got rid of my Memoir 44 stuff. But I kept my, the medieval one. Age of something, is it? It's exactly like Memoir 44, but you can play like the Battle of in France. What was it? The Battle of Aragon or Cologne or whatever.
Right.
And if you buy the expansion, you can actually add fantasy monsters to it. So you can actually have dwarves and elves and goblins and orcs and whatever. But yeah, I kept the medieval version. Battle Master, maybe? No. I got a buddy of mine that's trying to convince me to get rid of my what's it called? Damn it. Now I forget the name. Comes in a big box and has all the little hexes that you can build terrain out of. What is that? Well, anyway, I have 2 boxes of it out in the garage. And like with all the hexes and the walls and the trees and like the you had like American paratroopers versus like Yakuza versus robots, you know, because everybody was supposedly like thrown through time. into this area, but okay. So I need to get this done.
Well, I definitely, when I get down to Florida there, James, I definitely got to do my, I got to do more terrain stuff. I was over at the Dollar Tree the other day, and they had like 3 pine trees for $1. I'm like, yeah, I really need to start getting that stuff together when I get down to Florida and I have space enough that I can just put boxes up against the wall and say, all right, it's winter time. Pull out all this box and set up the scenario. And here it is, guys. This is what's happening this week, you know?
What we do also is every year after Christmas, if GeoHex, not GeoHex, I'm talking about the board game, Big Rob, that had the hexes in it, and you would make the different maps out of the plastic hexes and then fight a battle. But anyway, after Christmas, if you go to Hobby Lobby, they always have these like 3-inch tall pine trees for sale for like dirt cheap. And they're on like a wooden base, but you can just pull them off the wooden base and base them however you want.
Yeah. I just got hit with dinner, so I'm going to duck out while I'm eating. I'll pop back in a little bit.
All right. So, yeah, we're getting over 2 hours as it is. As a matter of fact, Diversity and Dragons is going live in 10 minutes. So, and I usually watch his show, which I finally got all the cells on, but not all the rigging. But this is my sloop. And you can see how it's got the 2 Lantine cells here, and then it's got the 2 squares, and then the trailer in the back. And this guy is an 8-gun sloop. But unfortunately, because these are light ships, they're like guns. So, you know, they don't do a whole lot of damage. But I still got to run a lot of like rigging up here and down here and all that. So, you know. But the rigging's pretty easy because I'm using this elastic cord. So if you give it just a little tension and glue it in, it keeps nice and taut, you know. So that's good. That's really good. So, and then the next thing will be to put cells and rigging on this bad boy right here, which is a 10-gun light frigate. So 10 guns to a side. And unlike the sloop, this thing can actually carry medium and heavy cannons. So, you know, and a lot more men. I think this thing can carry up to like 120 men, whereas a sloop can carry like 60 at most. Sold my World War II stuff as well. Yeah, I just got so like me and my brother, we played Flames of War for years. Then we played Bolt Action for a long time. And then we broke out of Bolt Action and we were playing Command and something by Two Fat Lardies, which was actually way better than Bolt Action, but whatever. But just after a while, it was like, I'm just sick of this. I am just sick of this. Sick to my heart with it. I would rather do anything else than, you know, put my Panzers on the table or my T-34s or whatever. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate it, man. I'm learning. If my box sets ever show up, I will have 4 more of these schooners to build. And I may do alternative rigging because this guy right here is rigged as a Balandra, but you can also do a simple rigging to make it a Bermuda sloop. The Bermuda sloop actually goes faster than the Balandra, but the Balandra has more options for upgrades like reinforced bulkheads, additional sweeps, top cells, etc. And then on this side of the card, it's got like You can use like a wet erase marker to mark off the dots like BattleTech anytime your ship takes damage until, you know, like if the hull gets all destroyed, then the ship is done. You know, that's what it is. And of course, in the game, you can get hit. And if it's like critical hits, your ship can catch on fire, you know, stuff like that. So, but anyway, it's been over 2 hours, so I'm going to go ahead and take off. I will catch you guys later. Vic, thanks for joining me.
Hey, will
And
do.
everyone else, thank you for watching. And yeah, catch you later.
Have a good one, big man.